seems to be okay then. First of all, it's really honor and pleasure to attend your annual general meeting. Such a great company, not only on Zoom, but I see a lot of people in person there. It's, yeah, like you know about us for so many years, over a decade, well over a decade. We ourselves, we know about Zambia Society Trust, but it's the first time that we really have opportunity to see each other face to face. And I'm really privileged that John decided to have this form of the meeting. It's a great pleasure. I have to warn everybody, John already knows, that I tend to be very talkative when it comes to talking about Home of Hope and children. So I will ask John to really put the stop to my rambling when it's enough. Greetings to everyone from Lusaka, Zambia. We have raining season has started, but after 2 weeks of rains, they stopped, and now it's very hot for last few days. St. Lawrence Home of Hope began its work with children in Lusaka in 1998. So very soon we will be celebrating quarter of a century of our existence. And since 1998, it has grown, into an organization that, according to me, really has an impact on lives of many children, their families, and also begins to have an impact on policies and procedures that govern the work with children in Zambia. Our beginning, however, were very humble because the first accommodation were 3 cargo containers that were put in the field, and that they cut out small windows in them, and those were the first 3 dormitories that were serving as home for kids in 1998. Since that time, we still have one of the caregivers that is working with us all that time, Mr. Bautumvula. Today he is off duty. He spent night here. He went back to his family, and he will be coming tomorrow morning again. Our beginnings were quite, as I said already, humble, but also bumpy. Like there was a lot of goodwill and a desire to help children that began at that time sleeping in town center, begging on traffic lights, spending a lot of time without adult supervision, but there wasn't much expertise about how to go about that work. So the first group of boys that was brought to Home of Hope, there were 12, I believe. All of them ran away within a week. And when running away, clothes, blankets, mattresses. So it was rather discouraging experience. Fortunately, people who began the project did not give up. They went back to town, to the streets, and they sourced for the new group of kids, employed one more caregiver, and the work began. So the late 90s, there was no many experts in Zambia or educate people about the feeling to live as one was learning on the job. So I have joined myself this project in 2006, so not not that long ago. 2006, that will be, how many years that will be? 16 years ago. We've been growing steadily for last 25 years. Today, we have maybe not a large facility, but well established facility. We have 6 dormitories for children, 3 rooms for caregivers. We have a dining area, 1 classroom, play area, ablution blocks, showers and toilets. And as of today, we have 95 children in the facility. Oh. So everything has grown. Yes, ours has grown. And what the beginning was so-called Center for Street Children has evolved over a time into an emergency placement facility for children who need care and rehabilitation and help with development. So that's how we identify ourselves. About 50% of boys that we receive, as it is for last few years, they still are from the street. Me with my team, we go fairly regularly, at least every second week. We'll be patrolling city center and different areas of Lusaka. And we are on the lookout for new children who just arrived, just separated recently from the families, and we bring them to our facility. Will be, or they are referred to us, but by different authorities. That will be Zambian police, social welfare services, Zambia Immigration, International Organization for Migration, UNHCR, and also magistrate courts, because we are one of the few facilities that has a program of juvenile diversion. Kids who committed crimes, as opposed to being just punished and sent to prison, can be now sent for, let's say, rehabilitation to our facility. So 50% through different authorities, 50% through our work on the street. This year is our record year. Like every year we break a new record. Up to last month, the record of new admissions within 12 months was 92 children. That was in 2020. This year, till yesterday, we have already received square 100 new children from the 1st of January. Has been a very hectic year for us. Many new children. The age of children has reduced significantly. We received now 5-year-old, 6-year-old children. Yes, a lot of work. At the same time, since January till yesterday, we have managed to reunite with families 68 children. So it's a constant, the numbers are constantly changing. Some kids are coming, some kids are going back to their families, those who are ready. And we also had 19 boys who ran away and they did not come back yet, or we did not manage to find them and bring them back yet. Yes, John, that's maybe for the beginning about some numbers and statistics. You are muted, John.
Thank you. What about the challenges you've faced over the years and the sort of big successes you've had?
Oh, that's a huge question. Maybe let me start with successes, because successes is something that, you know, whenever you work with human beings and human beings in development, successes are not things that come across very fast. It takes a long time to see success. And the temptation or the danger is that on a day-to-day basis, we might feel like we are going nowhere because there are always the same challenges that we face with kids and with families and maybe with authorities. But after all these 25 years, it turns out that we have number of successes. For us, every child that goes back to the family is a success, and every child that remains in the family for next, let's say, 12 months at least, or even longer, that's a success for us, because that's our main goal, to help family to be back together. So I would say we already had 68 little successes this year, but 68, because that's how many children we reintegrated with their families this year. From the bigger things, one of our young men now, not boys, I wouldn't call him because he's 26, Akim, has just finished defended his diploma in bioengineering, if I am not mistaken, from Copperbelt University. And just a month later, and that was 2 weeks ago when he broke the news to me, he got a scholarship in Israel for next 12 months. So that's the great joy for us. One of our other younger boys this year, Joseph, who is now in grade 9, and he will be writing his exams, begin to write his exams on Monday. But this year he has won the first prize in National Mathematics Olympics. Oh. He came number 1. Yes, so that's again a great success and great joy to us, especially for Joseph. When we know the reasons why he was here, we know the trouble and the trauma that he went through. We know the autism struggle that he has in his life. And yet, you know, when it comes to academic performance, he excels. Every school he went to, he comes number 1 on the national level. So our name also grows. We had 4 younger guys again. They just finished writing the grade 12. And I had the discussion with one of them, with Terry, yesterday. There is no time here to explain to you all the reasons that led him to be on the street and how challenging it was for him to leave the street. But when he came to us after running away, we brought him back. We discovered his true name. And then he was enrolled to grade 3 in our St. Lawrence school. After a year, he was promoted to grade 7. And yesterday, that was when he wrote his last exam in grade 12. So with hopefully, judging by the results from previous term, he will also excel. And 3 other guys, we hope that they will give us a struggle of finding resources to enable them to go to colleges and universities. From other smaller, you know, for us always is a pleasure when people who used to be here as boys, as kids, they find time to visit us with their families. They come with their wives and with their children, and they share their experience. We are always very happy when we can see positive impact that with our small input we could cause. Yes, there were other smaller things, but for individuals involved, they might be huge, like a 7-year-old boy whom we received on Christmas Day last year, and he was in the danger of his leg being amputated. Again, by connecting with right doctors and perseverance and proper care, we've managed to save his leg, and he is just outside playing football now. Yeah, these other other small things. We've managed to connect also one of other children, a very young albino boy who was a victim of severe violence when his hand was chopped off, and then he was referred to us for safekeeping and rehabilitation. And we've managed to connect him with the Canadian charity. He spent a month ago, last 3 months, he spent in New York, and he came back from United States with brand new prosthetics. And he's now still learning how to use his new hand, as it is. So yeah, those are on other level, I would say, more outside. The way I see success of our work and our organization is the fact that we've been recognized in the national level by people who impact policies and who make decisions. I shared already with John earlier that I've been invited to give presentation at the National Assembly of Zambia. That happened in January when they were preparing children's bill code. It's a new law in Zambia, was effected only 2 months ago, with a new approach and a lot of let's say new legal implications towards the work and protection of children in Zambia. I'm proud to say that we had our little contribution to that. From very recent news, I was asked by the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services to be a consultant. I think that's the word, to consult with her ministry, with permanent secretary and directors of different departments for the purpose of reinventing approach towards the phenomenon of children living on the street in Zambia. We had a number of meetings. We were called on board because it became clear to people in decision-making positions that the approach that we have adopted many years ago, over a decade ago, it seems to be working. It works well on the street, it works well with the families, and they want us to help government to develop new approach and improve the childcare facility that government has. So we are not yet done. Meetings will follow another week, but it seems like we have a great way. Let's say the ministry will be enforcing the policies with regard to children living on the street. So don't want to talk too much about successes. Let me go to some challenges. Wow, challenges. Now, challenges are the reason why we develop. That's what I believe.
Yes.
Without challenges, we would not have grown. We would remain happy on our low level. So in the way, challenges are always good. No one promised ever us life without challenges. So far, we've managed to face all of them. Funding is always the problem, as it is for every family around the world, maybe except Jeff Bezos and the owner of Twitter. But for us mere mortals, funding and finding resources to do necessary tasks is always a challenge. But yeah, we are just happy that we are surrounded by so many people of goodwill. And always tell people we never had too much, but we always had enough. And for last 25 years, we have grown with every year. I am a missionary, so what I say might sound weird, but that's basically my only faith that I have. I do believe strongly in providence. I do believe that God cares indefinitely more about the children that we work with. And the proof is that people like yourselves and so many of our friends and now even strangers keep knocking on our gate and will bring some stuff that takes us always a step further. So I cannot really complain about challenges.
Jacek, could you say something about what you do to help the children and the families, the kind of things that you do?
Okay, disclaimer again, John and David Powell, whom I see here from Kalundu, Lusaka, you know that I'm very talkative on that. So it's David. What we do? Well, we try to be as comprehensive and holistic as possible. We made a lot of effort into learning about children and the family. We put still a lot of effort into understanding the nature of challenges that our clients face. And from the beginning, we had that specific angle on reintegration of child with the family. It is our belief that it is still the best place for a child to grow up, even in challenged families. It's still the best place, and that's our focus. To do that, when children come to us, they come on themselves because they come at the time where they already separated from the family. So one of the first and fundamental tasks for us is an exercise that we call family tracing. So we physically go and try to identify the family of every child that comes or is referred to our home, and we do it as soon as possible. And it doesn't really matter how far it might be. As you know, Zambia is a large country. For children originating from Lusaka, we can do family tracing with next day, 2 days after admission. For children from remote areas, it might take up to a month before we get sufficient resources and time to travel, for example, to Mpulungu or Kasama or Chelenge or Solwezi. But for every child, as soon as possible, we want to identify the family. The first reason for that is the family has a right to know where their child is. And in many cases, they don't understand what happened. They've been searching for the child in vain. It happened many times that when we come back, especially to remote places, family performed already a funeral over the child that ran away or got lost. So for those reasons, and again, recently we had a case when child went missing, and after a month, the husband divorced wife because he accused her of selling the child. So knowing all these problems that follow when the child runs away or gets lost, that's one of the first reasons why we want to do family tracing as soon as possible. The second reason, equally important, is we cannot understand the child if we do not know where he comes from, if we don't know the ecology of his family, environment. We do extensive interviews with parents or with any significant adult that we manage to find, because for us, that's the only way to understand the child, to, let's say, to put diagnosis on the issue, and that will allow us to design proper intervention that is suitable for that child and that particular family. We treat all of them very individually. So then we come back with the child here, and many people ask, so what you do with kids? And they think that it's magic. The truth is, we do not do much. I would say the main theme for us is a genuine, non-threatening, inclusive, understanding relationship that we are developing with the child. Because if you go statistically, keeping in mind that every child and family is different, but one of the common themes will be, or one of the common challenges in children that come in contact with us is impaired or skewed attachment. So this will be kids that have problems with relationships, who, for different reasons, maybe did not experience a proper relationship with an adult person, and for them to get better, to grow into conscientious adults, being able to connect and operate in the society sphere of human relationships is paramount for us. So we live together, we work together, we play together, we laugh, we cry together, we spend a lot of time together. Our teachers are not supposed to sit in offices and fill in documents. They are outside playing Scrabbles, playing Uno, working together, and all that stuff that you would do in, let's say, good enough family, being together with the child. One of the specific things for us here is that we have yoga classes for children. Again, yoga, it has nothing to do with any religion. For us, it's really from the neurological point of view and from trauma-informed science. We know that yoga, mindfulness, any exercise that helps individual to get in touch with his emotions is desirable. From the science, again, we know that yoga helps in fostering development of orbitofrontal cortex, which by extension helps with self-regulation, with critical thinking skills, with impulse control, all these important things. So we have a science behind, but because of the science that we know, the actions that we do are actually not that complicated, but they are informed, they are targeted, and we do it with meaning. So that's how we do. We continue keeping contact with the families. So first, tracing will be re-establishing contact with the families, and then depending on the situation, but for many cases will be intentional rebuilding of that relationship. So as frequent as possible contact by phone or in person. We will make a lot of trips just to say hello to the family. Later on, for specific child, we might allow child to go for a weekend and then he comes back. That can evolve again into 1 week holiday and the child comes back. Let's say separation is a process. Separation of the child from the family is a process. It does not happen overnight. In cases when it's just a standalone event, these children do not stay with us for a long time. In most cases, 95%, there has been a long, ongoing, chronic, let's say, stress and trauma in the family. Therefore, reintegration has to be a process. It cannot be a dumping of a child. We work towards reintegration, but we have to do our work. Every opportunity we have, every visit is not only to the families, it's not only for the child to see the parents, but it is for us to provide parents maybe with some very basic input on child development, on parental skills. Frequently, we have to try to help parents to understand their own child, because, and I will go now in early childhood trauma things, what happens, it's early childhood trauma, the damage, as you will, happened within first 2 years of the life of the child, 2 years plus the pregnancy in utero. But the effects of deficiencies that were at that time, effects demonstrate themselves only when child begins to reach puberty, so maybe 10, 11, 12. And many parents cannot make connection between the present makeup of the child and those reasons. Therefore, they do not, when they don't understand the behavior, they blame the child for the behavior. When they blame the child for behavior, they are not inclined positively in helping that child to mitigate undesirable behavior. So every meeting is again opportunity for us to, if you will, educate parents to help them understand their own child.
Mm.
Because as long as parents see a child as bad because he displays bad behavior, as long as they see him bad, they see themselves as a failed parents. So our job is to help parents to see their child as a wounded child who is in need of help. And then parents can transition to seeing themselves as rescuers, as people who are able to help their wounded child.
Yeah.
And that works miracles.
Yeah. Jacek, what's going on the streets now? Is it getting better or worse?
I wish. No, I'm sorry to say that after 25 years of our work, it's not getting better. Actually, it's gotten quite worse recently. We have seen a large influx of very young children. So the average age of children separating from families and living on the street went down. Now we receive 5-year-olds. We come in contact with 6-year-olds who are living on the street and using drugs already. And there are many. Only yesterday, we received 4 new boys. That was just one afternoon. It's on the street, yes, there are more younger kids and there are more girls. Proportionately, more girls began street. So our work is far from over. However, as I told you before, in the pipeline, there is a number of new interventions that maybe if the ministry displays perseverance, because where I want to push the government's approach is from what was now event-based, like once or twice a year intervention when they catch kids in large numbers and put them in the facility that is not ready to receive them. I want to shift the paradigm now to a more systematic and extended in time approach where we remove one child at a time and with paying attention also to educating or let's say improving understanding of that work in childcare facilities for people who interact with kids, not for managers because they just fill papers, but for caregivers. So yeah, well, very soon we will start, but for now, the increase of children on the street. That's just my thinking from observing in Zambia and those of you who live in ZST and the plastic bottles. And it's almost exclusively job that is done by kids. Many kids drop out of school because day in, day out, they are roaming compounds and areas of Lusaka searching for scrap metal. Eventually that brings to them in problem with parents who want them to be in school. So kids, when they have to choose school and parents or income, many of them uses income. Then they come in contact with other kids who've been on the street. That's one of the things. Gambling is a big problem in Zambia for children. It's not really regulated with influx of and I do not want to sound racist, but with influx of Chinese expatriates, I would say that, and many good businesses that they brought into Zambia, many people got jobs because of the industries that are run. But there was a big increase in slot machines that are available easily in any small shops in almost every compound. And kids keep going to those places because, yeah, today is the day that I will win. Of course, it never happens, but they keep going there. And eventually, they separate from the families. So on the street, yes, problems are still there. What is alarming and what is, let's say, causes for concern is the decreasing age of children. Younger and younger kids come to the street and decide to stay on the street. So that's certainly something we will have to look into, but different programs are in place. We have a new law, as I said, in Zambia, which is going to help us to mitigate some pull factors that continue keeping children on the street. For example, kids get intoxicated on the street with cheap things. And that the thing they use, its street name is Stika, but it's not classified as a drug. In chemical component is almost like paint thinners, so it's lead based. It intoxicates very fast and it does tremendous damage to neural system of the child. But it was not classified as illegal drug, and it was difficult for us to fight with it. The new law put one new sentence in it, which added to drugs and alcohol and tobacco, added precursor chemicals. So it's not allowed to sell to children or to ask children to distribute precursor chemicals. So our lawyers now say that this is the reason why we can apprehend people who are providing that substance to children. Another new paragraph, new section in our fresh Zambian law is the fact that if child was placed in the facility and runs away from that facility, any adult who gives that child shelter or discourages him to go back to the facility or to the family commits an offense, which is punishable up to 2 years of imprisonment. It's a good thing from our point of view, because any adult who gives shelter, so any street adults, thugs and thieves who use kids to generate income for them, if they are found with the child that is not their child, they can be prosecuted. That we have, I am very happy of that. It was in making for over a decade, but there's a lot of new rules in that document.
Yeah.
That are going to help with the work we are doing. Answer your question, John.
Jacek. Thank you. The signal is not that good, but we're getting the message. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. If anybody has a question they'd like to put,
thank you.
Jacek, please put it on the chat, and we'll see if you can answer it. Just quickly, Jacek, as we close, could you just say a bit about your team? It's not just you, is it? Yeah, you have a team, I think.
Yes, no, we are not that few. I have a team. Yes, we have those people are caregivers. One teacher that helps children to catch up with their education level. We have 2 ladies who, 5 ladies actually, that are support staff to our grandmother's work in the kitchen, help making sure that boys don't put too much salt in the food, with washing and repairing clothes for the youngest boys. And our recent addition to Home of Hope is one more brother like myself. It's brother Bara Suman. He's originally from India, missionary of Africa, and he just joined recently our team. For now, he is in charge of the storeroom and stock keeping and shopping. He works with kids, and we have one more person who is Father Ton van Kessel, who's been in Zambia for way over 50 years, and he became our financial officer. So it's very soon. We are now in transition period. I will be handing over to him all the books and taxes and pay slips and everything, and that makes me very happy because, yeah, that's all together. We are now 11 plus 2, 13, 14 people.
Yeah,
14 people and 95 boys at home.
Yeah, Jacek, thank you. It's such a privilege to be able to be a part of the project through the Zambia Society. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And we do wish you well. Thank you. Stay on for the rest of the meeting. We'll have a 5-minute break and then we'll resume. Oh, I have a question. Sorry, coming up.
I think that we just maybe one sentence. Okay. Okay.
The ratio shows. Do they come in?
What about girls, Jacek? How many girls are on the street?
I knew the question would come. Yes.
What happens to them?
On the street, traditionally, it's about 2% of the whole population of children living on the street will be girls. So it's much smaller percent than boys. However, for last few months, there is a visible increase of girls, very young girls. We are talking about 9, 10, 11-year-old girls that are coming in quite large numbers. I think recently in one place, only we counted over 20 young girls in one place at night. That was around midnight. So they live there. Ourselves, we do not receive girls into the Home of Hope, and not because we have gender bias or we are insensitive, but there are other reasons for that. We know the challenges that kids come with, and it would not be wise to keep two genders together of children who have been exposed prematurely to experiences that they should not have been exposed to. You know, once you start certain things, it's very difficult to stop them. There is no switch that we can flip. We know our kids can be compromised in those areas, so there is physical separation. We have only boys, but we work very closely with a facility that is called the Vision of Hope. It's also based in Lusaka, and that's where we refer every girl that is good for placement in the facility. It happens in a number of cases that from one family, boys will be with us and girls will be with that facility. So girls are taken care of also. We did not forget about them, but they're just physically in different place in the facility run by a Zambian lady, very, very lovely lady, very committed, Chitalu Chishimba, marvelous person. Maybe one day I will introduce her to you. She's doing great job. I always say I could not work with girls, not just because I'm a man, but I know that work with girls is far more challenging. Girls by nature are more resilient. Therefore, they are more likely to persevere adverse situation at home and less likely to separate from the family. But once they separate from the family, the experience they go through on the street is, well, it's unspeakably worse than experience that boys go through. Therefore, the damage is far more profound, and they really require a lot of expertise, a lot of patience. It would be very difficult for me to work. But there are facilities, and our favorite go-to is Vision of Hope. So but a fun fact, yesterday we received 4 boys, first 5 boys And when they were brought in, one leaves the car, and I straight away, oh, I think this might be a girl. We better check. So one of the caregivers went to check, and it turned out that by mistake, social welfare sent us a girl. We sent her back, and she went to Vision of Hope. You know, young kids, they are about 6-year-old. It's very difficult to judge by face. Yeah, but she was taken care of. It's in Vision of Hope. I hope that answers your question. Before you cut me off, I think the word of thank is really from us, and it's for we are very grateful for your perseverance with us and for your faithfulness, because this is not one-off help that you do based on your emotions. This is your faithful service to the children that are in our care and to the families, and there are over the years hundreds and hundreds of them. So thank you so much. Our profound thanks to all of us.
There's another question, Jacek. Another question.
Oh.
Can I ask about the finances? Always surprised I don't know like from year to year. What are the finances that is like at home?
You would have to repeat the question, Johnny, if you could.
Tim was asking about the finances. How do you cope financially?
Yeah, that's where our faith is tested, and wow. I can tell you that now I am $10,000 in red with Missionaries of Africa. So we had to overdraw our account. We just we run dry on others. No, it's not rosy. Growing number of kids, of course, expenses also grow. We had challenges with our cars. All of them are quite old, and a lot of money went into repairs because we cannot do without a truck, but we had to spend a lot to repair it because it's old. It's 12-year-old and 420,000 kilometers mileage. That's how it is. Finances are also always challenged, but I do believe that God, through good people, will provide. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Stuart has just suggested a round of applause.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's inspirational to hear you, Jacek. We feel inspired by what you do, and it's a privilege to support you.
Yep.
We'll take a break, and do stay with us for the
gratitude is on our side. I am
Thank
very
you.
happy we could meet face to face. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.